Hello, this channel is about things I learn along the way as I work on my Triumphs. Today I'm working on a TR6 engine overhaul, and we are installing the cam, and there are things in the that are not in the manual that I ran into. One is there's a very super secret tool that you will, as a guest star, will be coming onto the program today that you can see where you can actually how to get your fingers in to lubricate the cam bearings. So you'll see that super secret tool a little bit later. The other thing I ran into was that the torque settings are different in the Haynes and the service manual here. The third thing I ran into is that this cam locating plate was distorting under torque and causing the end float to be wrong. And other people run into this too. I'll show you what I found out about all those things and how it all came together. Hey, if you learn something, or if you like the channel, I appreciate you like the video, subscribe. It encourages me to do more of these. So let's get going. So the next step is to put this cam from TSI Automotive into that engine. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to drop it in vertically. I'm going to put this engine completely vertical, drop it in. Now you might be saying, wow, that's a really slick box that TSI made to ship this thing in. But as a matter of fact, I made that box when I shipped it in. This is my old cam reground to a performance cam grind, and it was about half the price to have my old cam reground to a performance grind than it was to buy a new cam. And there's some questions about the cam blanks and that kind of thing, but this was a far cheaper way to go about it, and I have original equipment cam in there, so I'm happy about it. And while I was at it, I had it ground to I installed the cam bearings again in the block by the machine shop, so it's all matching, and we're good to go. So now I gotta lube that up and get ready to drop it in. One of the challenges is going to be getting the assembly grease on these bearings. I can't get my hand in there, deep down in there, so I'm gonna lube them up one at a time and push them in. That's the best way I can figure. We'll do that together later. Why am I doing this? Because the shim here, this gear alignment with this gear, will be impacted by the thickness of the gasket. And I have multiple different gaskets with different thicknesses. I'm not sure how that's all going to line up, so I'm going to do a test fit on it, and then I may have to pull this apart, and then she'll put the adhesive on the gasket, which I know will add a little thickness, and then put it all back together again. So that's probably not the smartest way to do it, but that's the way I'm going to do it. The important thing is to get these two gears lined up so that that they're not out of line and don't wear unevenly, and the thickness of this gasket impacts that. I have a thin gasket, and I have a thick gasket, and I don't know which is going to be needed. So it says the thin gasket, but I've learned not to trust that stuff. Also, this shim is all beat up. I don't know what's going to happen there either. So here we go. I got to unbolt that, unbox the cam and get all set up.
Find me.
Okay, so here is my granddaughter Jordan, and I cannot reach in. My hands are too big to reach in and get those cam journals cleaned out. So she has got, so show me your hands. I think it's a little bit better scenario here to have her reach in there. Of course, there's the glitter factor, but anyway, so she's getting in there and wiping those clean one last time, and then we're going to put assembly lube in there. So tiny little hands, great big brain. Alrighty.
You don't even need to do that. I'll be able to get to it.
Okay, so here I'll group you up.
Right-handed.
Should be enough.
Yeah. All right.
Just pretend you're a nurse, and you're having
I would be a terrible nurse.
to.
be like, stop crying and toughen up. So I am that kid who avoided the hospital at any and all costs.
Yes. So how's that going? Are you able to kind of spread around on that?
Trying my best.
Okay. How about the other hand? Let me try the other hand.
Yeah, I'm about to. That's good. I'm gonna go in this way for get the top of it.
So I've been telling Jordan not to wash her pants after she's been working on the battery, but she still does it anyway. Look at all those holes in her pants. The acid just ate right through it. Yeah,
I'm helping you out right now, so just remember.
Okay, we're doing the last one here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, almost.
I'm just trying to get the bottom of it.
Okay, good
It's
job.
hard to without
Good job.
half breaking my wrist.
Okay.
Oh, that works.
That works. Instead of spinning the engine, we just spin you.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
need to
okay.
spin myself currently.
Yeah, so again, if we had done this the right way, I'd done this before putting the crank in, it would have been a lot easier. Oh well. We started cleaning this just with Kim wipes, but it was so dirty that we took a little Dawn. I'm going to do this as a first step, just to get it cleaned off. The machine shop left it kind of dirty. Okay, the paper towels came out nice and clean. So
This is making
it's making you
shiny. Make my nails shiny.
your hand shiny?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Well, make your nails, you know, it's good for your nails. Yeah. So go ahead and just top to bottom. Go ahead and just do a final wipe down with the Kim Wipe PB Blaster. We're trying to get any last little stuff off of it. So kind of watch it as it goes. See if you see any black or whatever coming off it. Get every surface, yeah. All those surfaces, great, good job. I had the front plate on, but I want to be able to test fit the gears, right? So Jordan's job is to do the gooping on the cam, and then we're going to drop it down in. So just go ahead and go messy with it. It's okay if you waste it. So go ahead and if you waste it, so you know, like grab the bottle in one hand and just be gooping it on. Dripping goopy is okay. We're not going to use that for anything else. So anything shiny gets goop all the way around. And I can't do the camera and do this at the same time, so we'll pause this.
We're going.
Okay, here we go. All lubed up. And careful so as not to scratch the bearings. I much prefer doing it this way to doing it horizontally. This is much easier. Just got to be careful of that gear going down. Oh, that's so much nicer. I'm having a little trouble getting through. Jordan, can you see
Yep,
that?
I
Oh,
can.
there it goes.
Actually.
And in. Yeah, show the top. And in. Yay! One cam installed. So, thank you, Jordan. That was very helpful.
Of course.
And now we're a mess, right?
Yep.
And so, and did your nails survive? Let's see your nails. Did they survive intact? No acetone?
No acetone.
Good job. Okay, thank you. Setting the end float for, I've just installed the camshaft in my TR6 engine rebuild, and I found a problem. I've got these torqued down to 18 to 20 if you believe the Haynes, 22 if you believe the service manual. And when I fully torque it down, I'm only getting about maybe 1.5 10,000ths end float on that cam. It's supposed to be 4 to 8, I think. And I'm going, what is going on? Well, I have played with this a lot. I have looked at straightening the straightening the end plate on the engine. I've looked at a lot of things. I've looked at are these warped? Is my camshaft locating plate warped? And after playing with this quite a bit, I found out what is actually going on. So I'm going to loosen these, and I'm using this wrench so I can get under my... But watch what happens when I loosen that. You see, we lose a little bit there. I'm going to loosen this one. Okay. Now I'm going to try it. And what is our total inflow? I've got it set tight enough still that the locating plate is not moving with the with the cam. So what I've got here is I show that there's a total float of about 6,000. I said 10,000 before, didn't I? 6,000. There's a total end float of about 6 thousandths here. And so you would think you would want, so that's within spec. 4 to 8 is what the manual says, I believe. We'll look that up in a minute. But what happens is as you tighten these down, as you can see before, and I'm not going to torque it down. I'll just tighten it down somewhat. I won't even torque it to 22. Man, that's not even 22. As we do that, we see now we're down to 1.5 thou. So something is going on. Now I did all kinds of measurements and so on. The best measurements I could find are these. Okay, you can see now the dial indicator's put on the tab right there. Let's tighten this bolt down now and see what happens. See the dial indicator move? When we torque it down, it goes all the way. I'm not going to torque it down all the way at the moment. When we torque it down all the way, it moves about 2 thousandths of an inch. And if I kept going, it would go to 4 foot-pounds. What I ended up doing is taking a Dremel wheel and taking it just at that one space there and bringing that down a little bit, and then I went back to my sandpaper, went back to the sandpaper on the drill press, and I smoothed it up 80 and then down to 400 grit, smoothed it up, and be careful because that Dremel will take it down pretty fast. Cleaned it up, put it back on, and now it'll I'll torque it up and we'll see where we're at. Torque down to 22 pounds. I'm getting about 3 to 4 thou end float, and I finally did it by shaving this down. It's the only way I could get it to go. So torque it in place, mark it where it's high, and then shave it down there. I used a combination of Dremel and the sandpaper on the cast iron surface of my table saw. Note that the manual has you checking the end float with the feeler gauge. Well, if you do this, you'll find one reading here, another reading where they've got it, another reading here, another reading here, and another reading here. So that it depends on where you take it from. And again, the range of range is written somewhere else in the manual is 4 thousandths to 8 thousandths is what you should is what the range of acceptable end float is. So this is why I elected to do this with a dial indicator instead of with a feeler gauge. I did check it with the feeler gauge, but ended up going with the dial indicator instead. I'm not the only one to encounter this problem of the locator plate warping. If you look at this website, which is full of good tips and tricks on TR6, he runs into the exact same thing. I found another reference on the TR register under camshaft keeper plate where he ran into the exact same warping, and it would tighten it off, tighten it up. And I found an old thread on the TR Experience also on the same issue where his camshaft locating plate warped and locked it up. So I'm not the only one that's run into this. So there is a difference between the Haynes manual says that front engine plate and locating plate, which is what we are looking at, to cylinder block, there's a 5/16 UNF, that the specified torque is 18 to 20. When we get over to the manual, we see that the front engine plate and cam locating plate attachment is 22 foot-pounds. I did a compromise, and so the range is 18 to 22. I did it at 20. I keep a binder of problems I run into, and some of you have said I've shown these before, and some of you said you liked them, so I thought I'd go ahead and include one here. So I've included an entry for TR6 cam locating plate distortion. The problem is that there's distortion under torque of 20 to 22 foot-pounds, reduces the end float. Now I've documented the size and the wear pattern that was on the original, and I've documented there's a 4,000ths distortion on the left side and a 2,000ths distortion on the right side. So it looks like that on the other view. So what it does is removes a total of 4,000ths from the clearance when it distorts. So the end float measured only 2,000ths of an inch when torqued down. To look at it from the other point of view, there should be, and if you measure the slot in the cam itself, there's a 6,000ths clearance with the cam locating plate in there and no torque at all. There's a 6,000ths clearance with no torque. But when you put the torque on it, again, that clearance is reduced to 2,000ths. So the solution that I came up with was I ground 2,000ths from the top middle where the wear pattern was to get me a total of 4,000ths total. Well, that's one solution. I actually took a brand new cam locating plate that I bought and I ground 4,000ths from the top middle where the wear pattern was for a total of 4,000ths off of it. And that gave me my infloat. That ended up giving my infloat of 4,000ths. Is that ideal? No, but this is what I decided to do. I thought about solving it instead by torquing it down to only 15 foot-pounds and Loctiting it in, but I changed my mind and decided, well, I'll go ahead and do it this way. Since we have the wear pattern here anyway, apparently the cam is only thrusting into the cam locating plate from one direction. I didn't see that it would be a problem to grind that down a little bit and flatten it out. So that's the documentation of this problem and the solution. So as all things on this engine or any engine that I've been working with, the project seems to go much longer than you think it's going to go with some travel time in between. Anyway, this video was about installing the cam and the lifters. This warpage took up a bit more time than I intended. In any case, this is what I learned about the process of installing the cam. If you know something else or something different, please leave it in the comments, and leave it in a nice comment. I had to ban somebody from the channel who was swearing and saying all kinds of unkind things. I'm happy to hear criticism, but I'm not going to tolerate abuse. So I certainly don't know everything. I'm learning all the time, and I'm just recording this, what I learned and what's not in the manual. Hey, if you find these are helpful, please subscribe and like it. It encourages me to take the time to do these videos. Thank you for watching.